How many opportunities have you missed out of fear of failure? How many times have you found yourself paralyzed with your heart racing, imagining all the catastrophic scenarios that could happen if you took the next step? And what if it goes wrong? And what if I'm not good enough? And what if people laugh at me? And what if all of this is a mistake? These questions do not come from outside. They spring up within your mind, like voices whispering that it's better not to try, better to stay where you are, better to protect yourself. But the problem is, the fear that protects you also imprisons you. And what the Stoics teach us is precisely this: the true enemy is not failure, it is the fear of failing. Because failure is part of life. It teaches us, it shapes us, it strengthens us. But the fear of failure, that indeed destroys us, because it prevents us from trying. And the worst, that fear is subtle. It disguises itself as caution, as realism, as logic. But the truth is that it is paralyzing you, and paralyzing action is paralyzing your evolution. Today you will learn to break this chain. Today, we will explore 5 profound and transformative Stoic strategies for dealing with the fear of failure. And we won't talk about pretty phrases to motivate you for a few minutes. We will talk about living philosophy, about a way of thinking, and most importantly, about a way of acting. Because the fear of failure only loses strength when you change your perspective. Marcus Aurelius wrote in his diary, "If something is within your control, act with determination. If it is not, accept it with serenity." This simple phrase can set you free, but it only works when it is understood deeply. That's why in this video you will understand why the fear of failure has accompanied you since childhood, how the Stoics transformed fear into fuel for action, and how you can apply this even today in your life without depending on anyone. You will realize that fear is not your enemy, failure is not the end, and courage is not the absence of fear. It is acting even with it. This journey will be intense. You will see yourself in the words to come. You will confront your own beliefs. And if you are willing, you will leave this video different than when you entered. So, watch until the end, because in the last segment, I will give you the final key, the last Stoic strategy, the most powerful. And if you miss this, you will remain trapped in the same doubts as always. But if you stay, you will understand why fear will never again be an obstacle. Are you with me? Stoic Strategy 1. Absolute focus on what is under your control. Imagine someone about to do something great. A presentation, a project, a career change, or simply opening their heart to someone. This person is trembling inside, because deep down they believe that success depends on what others will think, on what others will say, on what might go wrong. But the Stoics would say, this fear is not yours. It is an illusion you have adopted as truth. Epictetus was clear. Some things are within our control, others are not. You can control your intentions, your preparation, your attitude, but you can never control the final outcome. Why is this liberating? Because the fear of failure arises from the illusion of control. You want to guarantee success. You want people to like it. You want everything to go exactly as you planned. But that was never in your domain. And the more you try to control the uncontrollable, the more anxiety you generate, the more fear you cultivate. The Stoics teach us to do the opposite. They say, focus on your role, on your virtue, on your commitment, and let the rest go. That changes everything. When you understand that your worth is not in applause but in the integrity of your action, you gain freedom. Freedom to act, freedom to try, freedom to live. Now think of something you've been postponing because you are afraid of failing. Now take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this under my control? What can you do with excellence? How can you prepare with more focus? What can you adjust, learn, improve? Do that, just that, and then let go. Understand, what is under your control is your virtue, not the outcome. Marcus Aurelius, who governed an empire, faced decisions involving wars, diseases, losses, and even so he wrote, do what nature demands, without being distracted by what others think. This is the essence of Stoicism, and this is the key that begins to dismantle fear. You are not responsible for winning. You are responsible for acting with courage. You are not responsible for pleasing. You are responsible for being true. And if you fail, you failed, trying to be who you are. And this, for the Stoics, is never a failure. It is an act of courage. Stoic Strategy 2. Redefining the meaning of failure. Stop for a moment and think, what is failure to you? Is it making a mistake? Is it being rejected? Is it not reaching a goal? Or is failure just not meeting an expectation that you created yourself? The Stoics said that the problem is not in the things that happen, but in the way you interpret those things. Seneca wrote, "What one fears from suffering is already suffering what one fears. The fear of failure is a suffering anticipated. You suffer before you act. You suffer before you try. You suffer just by imagining it might go wrong. But see, if you are already suffering, then why not act right away?" That is the paradox. The mind creates such a negative scenario about failure that living paralyzed seems safer, but it is not. Because while you protect yourself from failure, you also protect yourself from victory, from experience, from growth. The Stoic sees it differently. For them, failure is not falling. It is not getting back up. Failure is not making a mistake. It is repeating the same mistakes without reflection. Failure is not losing. It is never having truly fought. You can apply this in your life now. Think of something you tried, but it did not work out. Did you really fail? Or did you test, learn, strengthen your vision, and now are more prepared to try again? The child who learns to walk, stumbles, falls, cries, but keeps going. And no one calls this failure, because everyone knows it is part of the process. So why, when we become adults, do we start to believe we can no longer make mistakes? Mistakes are part of the journey. Failure is a teacher. Each frustrated attempt brings you closer to mastery, to maturity, and more. Failing is human. The attempt to live without failing is inhumane. It is ego disguised as perfectionism. From today, change your definition. Tell yourself, failure is not trying. Failure is lying to myself to please others. Failure is abandoning who I am for fear of what others will say. Everything outside of this is experience. It is stepping stone. It is evolution. And if the world points at you as a failure, remember Epictetus. The opinion of others only has the value you give it. After all, true success is living with courage. Stoic Strategy 3. Visualizing fear, facing it, overcoming it. Now I want you to do a simple but powerful exercise. Think about what scares you the most today. Visualize that fear. See the details. Feel the tension. Let your mind explore that scenario you avoid. Do you know what this is called? Premeditation of evils. An exercise used by Seneca, by Marcus Aurelius, by Epictetus. They all, men of power, responsibility, and courage, practiced this every day. They would sit and imagine, what if everything goes wrong? What if I lose my job? What if my health fails? What if others abandon me? But instead of feeding panic, they trained serenity. Because by visualizing fear clearly, you begin to dissolve its power. What is more frightening? What you face, or what you avoid? Avoiding looking at fear is like keeping a shadow behind you. You sense its presence, but you cannot confront it. When you turn and face it firmly, the monster loses strength. And many times, you find that what seemed gigantic is just a construct of your mind. Visualizing fear is courage. It's saying, I know I might fail, and still, I am ready. Epictetus taught his students to prepare for loss, for discomfort, for rejection, not to become negative, but to become invincible. The Stoic does not seek the worst, but prepares to face it, should it happen. And when you do this every day, fear becomes training. And what once paralyzed you, now strengthens you. Are you willing to face fear with open eyes? Because if you are, you will discover a strength that was sleeping inside you. Stoic Strategy 4. Act even with fear. How many times have you heard, just go for it? But your mind replied, what if it goes wrong? What if I can't do it? What if it's not the right moment? Let me tell you a Stoic secret. The right moment never comes. Seneca said, while we delay, life passes. Fear does not disappear before action. It disappears during action. You need to act despite the fear, and not wait for it to go away. This is the essence of Stoic courage. It is not the absence of fear. It is a firm decision, even with a racing heart. The Stoics had a word for that, prohairesis, the rational ability to choose the right action even when emotions are in conflict. It's not about impulse, it's about direction, acting with awareness, with clarity, with firmness, even trembling inside. You've done this before, haven't you? How many times have you acted with fear and then thought, that was hard, but I did it. So why are you doubting again now? Your fear does not define you. Your action does. To act is to prove yourself. It's to build confidence. It's to create internal evidence that you are greater than you imagined. And when you act with fear, you begin to notice something powerful. Fear is a visitor, but my will is permanent. Stoic strategy, accepting failure as part of virtue. Finally, we arrive at the last and most profound strategy, accepting failure as part of virtue. Marcus Aurelius said, "The soul is strengthened by resistance." To resist what? To shame, to criticism, to one's own wounded ego. Because to fail for the Stoic is not synonymous with defeat. It is part of the path to excellence. Virtue, this is the higher goal of Stoic philosophy, to live with justice, courage, wisdom, and self-discipline. And none of these pillars is formed without error, without stumble, without pain. Do you want to be just? You will err in trying. You will judge poorly. You will regret. Do you want to be courageous? You will feel fear. You will hesitate. You will retreat. Do you want to be disciplined? You will fail. You will procrastinate. You will break promises to yourself, and still you continue, because virtue is not perfection. It is perseverance. It is waking up and trying again, and again, and again, until one day you look back and realize you have transformed, not because you never failed, but because you never gave up. The strong Stoic is one who fails with dignity, who learns with humility, who rises with even more clarity. And that, my friend, that is victory. Breathe deeply now. Feel everything that has been said. You've come this far because something inside you got tired of running from fear, because you are beginning to realize that failing is not the end. It is the beginning of something new. You've learned that. Fear arises from the attempt to control the uncontrollable, but peace arises from focusing on what is within your control, your mind, your intention, your commitment. Failure only exists if you allow it. Redefine, rewrite, start again. Visualizing fear as facing it without weapons, but with soul. You do not flee, you observe, and by doing so, it diminishes. Acting even with fear is a great act. Do not wait for courage to act. Act, and courage will come with you. Virtue does not require perfection, it requires consistency, and those who live with virtue are never failing. They are becoming. And now I ask you, what is the next step you are going to take? What is the decision that has been postponed? What is the project that is waiting for the ideal moment? Stop waiting. Stop planning the fall before you get up. You are not the fear you feel. You are the will that remains even with fear. You are stronger than you think, more ready than you realize, more necessary than you believe. The Stoics were not superhumans. They just decided to live firmly. And you can also decide that today. It doesn't matter how many times you have fallen. What matters is your choice now. Will you continue to hide from failure, or will you use it as a springboard for your strength? The choice is yours. But remember, fear does not disappear, but you can grow until it seems small. And if this message touched you, write here in the comments, "I act, even with fear." This comment is not just a gesture, it is a commitment to yourself, to your journey, to your courage. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who needs to wake up from the paralysis of fear, because Stoicism is this, not beautiful words, but true actions, and the action that transforms starts now.